The research ship Harmony's Dream drifted through the dark space between stars. Inside the vessel, Kai-Lin worked alone in the communications room. His crystalline body glowed softly blue as he studied the strange signals coming from deep space. For 3 days, the same pattern had been repeating over and over. "Do-hyun, come look at this," Kai-Lin called to his friend. The Aquarian officer floated over on his tentacles, water dripping from his blue skin onto the metal floor. "What is it this time?" Do-hyun asked. He was tired. They had been searching for new planets for months, and all they found was empty space and dead rocks. Kai-Lin pointed at the screen with one of his thin crystal fingers. "This signal is old, very old, but it is still broadcasting from somewhere in the Forbidden Zone." Do-hyun looked at the numbers on the screen. His large eyes grew even bigger. "Kai-Lin, that sector is marked as dangerous. No ship goes there. The Galactic Council banned all travel to that area." "I know," Kai-Lin said. "But look at the pattern. Someone is asking for help." The signal was simple, but clear. It repeated the same message in many different languages. Most of them were unknown, but the meaning was the same. "We are here. We want to be friends. Please answer." Do-hyun shook his head. "We should report this to Captain Woo Jin and let the council decide what to do." But Kai-Lin was already working at his controls. His crystal body flashed brighter as he got excited. "Do-hyun, this could be the discovery we have been looking for, a new species that wants to join the Galactic Collective. Or it could be a trap," Do-hyun said quietly. "There are stories about that zone. Bad stories." Captain Woo Jin entered the communications room, his moth-like wings folded against his gray body as he walked over to them. "What are you two arguing about now?" Kai-Lin quickly explained about the signal. He showed the captain the readings and the translated message. "Sir, we could be the first to make contact with a new peaceful species." Woo Jin studied the data for a long time. His insect eyes moved back and forth across the screen. "The signal comes from the third planet in that system. The computer says it is a water world, but the atmosphere readings are strange." "Strange? How?" Do-hyun asked. "Too much oxygen. Too much nitrogen. The gravity is very high. No civilized species could live there." Woo Jin paused. "The computer calls it a death world." Kai-Lin's crystal body dimmed a little. "But the signal is asking for friendship. Deathworld creatures do not ask for friendship. They attack and destroy." "That is what makes this interesting," Woo Jin said. "Set course for the system, but keep our shields ready and weapons powered." Do-hyun's tentacles curled with worry. "Captain, the council rules say we must report any contact with unknown species before making approach. The council rules also say we must help any species that asks for aid," Woo Jin replied. "That signal is a distress call. We have a duty to answer." The Harmony's Dream turned toward the Forbidden Zone. As they traveled through hyperspace, Kai-Lin worked on translating more of the signal. The messages were beautiful. They talked about peace, about sharing knowledge, about exploring the stars together. "These creatures sound wonderful," Kai-Lin said to Do-hyun. "They want to learn about other species. They want to share their art and music." Do-hyun was not so sure. "If they are so peaceful, why do they live on a death world? Why is their zone forbidden?" "Maybe the council made a mistake," Kai-Lin suggested. "Maybe they never tried to talk to these creatures. When they arrived at the system, they saw something that made them all gasp. The star was bright yellow, much hotter than the dim red stars that most civilized species lived near. 3 planets orbited close to the dangerous star, and 4 more orbited farther out. "The third planet," Woo Jin said. "That is where the signal comes from." They moved closer. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans covered most of the surface, with brown and green land masses scattered between them. White clouds swirled in the thick atmosphere. "Look at those storm systems," Do-hyun said with fear. "Those clouds are huge. The weather must be terrible." Kai-Lin was studying other readings. "The radiation from the star is very strong. And look at this. The planet has a giant moon. The tidal forces must be incredible." How could anything live there? Woo-jin wondered. But the signal was definitely coming from the planet. As they got closer, they could see cities on the night side, lights scattered across the dark continents like stars. "They have technology?" Kai-Lin said with excitement. "They have spaceflight too. Look, there are artificial objects orbiting the planet." Do-hyun checked his sensors again and again. "Captain, some of those objects are weapons platforms. This species has armed satellites around their world." "Of course they do," Woo-jin said. "They live on a death world. They probably have to fight to survive every day." Kai-Lin was about to respond when alarms started ringing throughout the ship. Do-hyun's tentacles flew over his controls. "Captain, ships approaching from hyperspace, multiple contacts." On the main screen, dark ships appeared. They were ugly black things that looked more like insects than spacecraft. Green energy glowed along their hulls. "Void hunters," Woo-jin whispered. His wings spread wide with fear. Kai-Lin had heard stories about the Void Hunters, but he had never seen them. They were supposed to be a myth. Ancient legends told of creatures that ate entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty space behind. "How did they find us?" Do-hyun asked. "The same way we found this place," Woo-jin realized. They detected the signal too. The Void Hunter ships moved toward the planet. Energy beams shot from their weapons, striking the orbital stations. Explosions lit up the space around the blue world. "We have to warn them," Kai-Lin said. "We have to tell the Deathworld creatures that the Hunters are coming." "With what?" Woo-jin asked. "Our research ship has no weapons. We cannot fight the Void Hunters." More Hunter ships appeared, dozens of them. They surrounded the planet and began their attack. Cities on the surface went dark as the energy beams struck them. Do-hyun was working frantically at his communication station. "I am trying to contact the surface, but the Hunters are jamming all signals." "Wait," Kai-Lin said suddenly. "The old signal. It is still broadcasting. The Deathworld creatures have a powerful transmitter that the Hunters cannot stop." "Can we use it?" Woo-jin asked. "Maybe." Kai-Lin's crystal body flashed as he worked. "If I can link our communications to their transmitter, I can boost our signal." Do-hyun saw more Hunter ships arriving. "Hurry, Kai-Lin! They are bringing a swarm fleet." Kai-Lin connected their ship's communications to the alien transmitter. Suddenly, their signal became much stronger, strong enough to reach across the galaxy. "This is Research Vessel Harmony's dream," Kai-Lin broadcast. "We are under attack by the Void Hunters. The peaceful species on the third planet needs help. Please, anyone who receives this message, send aid." A Hunter ship noticed their transmission and turned toward them. Green energy beams shot across space. "Shields failing," Do-hyun reported. Woo-jin tried to escape, but the Hunter ship was too fast. More energy beams hit their hull. The Harmony's dream shook and sparked. "The ship is breaking apart," Woo-jin said. "We need to abandon ship." But Kai-Lin stayed at his station. "The signal is not finished. I need to send the planet's location to anyone who can help." "Kai-Lin, we have to go now," Do-hyun said. "No." Kai-Lin's crystal body blazed with light as he put all his energy into the transmission. "Someone has to answer their call for friendship. Someone has to help them." The Hunter ship fired again. This time, the beam cut through the Harmony's dream like a knife. The ship broke in half, but Kai-Lin kept transmitting until the very last second. His final message shot across the galaxy at the speed of light. It carried the coordinates of the blue planet and a desperate plea for help. The message traveled past dead systems and empty worlds, past the ruins of civilizations that the Void Hunters had already destroyed. And far away, in a solar system that most of the galaxy had forgotten about, something received the signal. Something that had been waiting for centuries to hear from the stars. Something that the galaxy called a myth. The Deathworlders were about to wake up. Admiral Tae-ho was drinking his morning coffee when the universe changed forever. He sat in his office on Titan Station, watching the patrol ships practice their formations around Saturn's rings. It was a peaceful morning, like so many others. In the past 300 years, the communication alert broke the silence. Lieutenant Da-yoon rushed into his office, her face pale with excitement and fear. "Sir, we just received a signal from outside the solar system. It's not from one of our deep space probes." Tae-ho set down his coffee cup. "Show me." The main screen lit up with data. The signal was weak, but it was definitely artificial. Someone was trying to communicate with Earth. "Can you translate it?" Tae-ho asked. Da-yoon nodded. "The computer is working on it now. Sir, there's something else." The signal mentions coordinates for what they call a death world. Those coordinates match Earth's location exactly. Tae-ho stood up slowly. For over 3 centuries, humanity had sent signals into space, hoping to find other intelligent life. The silence had been complete. Most people believed that humans were alone in the universe. "Get Captain So-ra on the line," Tae-ho ordered, "and contact the War Council. This is bigger than just a first contact situation." Captain So-ra arrived. Within an hour, her ship, the Iron Phoenix, was the largest vessel in the Terran Defense Force. She entered Tae-ho's office still wearing her ship uniform, her short black hair still damp from the shuttle ride. "Admiral, my crew is ready for whatever this is," she said without greeting. So-ra never wasted time on small talk. "Good, because we might need them." Tae-ho showed her the translated message. "Read this." So-ra's eyes moved across the screen. Her expression grew darker with each line. "Void hunters? What are those?" "We don't know yet," Tae-ho admitted. "But according to this message, they're attacking peaceful aliens near the coordinates that match our homeworld." Da-un pulled up more data. "Sir, I've been analyzing the signal pattern. Whoever sent this was using an incredibly powerful transmitter. The energy output needed for this broadcast would require the resources of an entire planet." "Or a very desperate situation," So-ra added. The War Council meeting was held in the secure chamber deep inside Titan Station. General Min-ho arrived, first, followed by General Yoon-ji. Both officers had served together for over 20 years, but they rarely agreed on anything. "This could be a trap," Yoon-ji said immediately. "We know nothing about these aliens. They could be trying to lure us away from Earth." Min-ho shook his head. "A trap that requires them to broadcast our exact location across the galaxy? That makes no sense. If hostile aliens wanted to find us, they wouldn't need to trick us into leaving." Tae-ho activated the main display. "Tell them what you found." Da-yoon. The young scientist took a deep breath. "The translation is almost complete. The aliens are asking for help against something called void hunters. But here's the strange part. They refer to Earth as a death world, and they call us death. Worlders? Deathworlders? So-ra asked. "According to their message, deathworlders are creatures that live on planets too dangerous for civilized life. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme weather, radiation from the sun. They seem to think we're some kind of legendary warriors." Min-ho laughed. "They're not wrong. Earth is a pretty dangerous place compared to most planets we've explored. But why would they ask warriors for help?" Yoon-ji wondered. "If they're peaceful, why not ask for refuge or evacuation?" Da-un pulled up another section of the message. "Because the void hunters aren't just conquering worlds. They're destroying them completely. According to this, they consume everything. Planets, stars, entire solar systems. Nothing is left behind." The room fell silent. Tae-ho had fought in the resource wars and the colony rebellions. He had seen, Cities burn and planets stripped bare by human greed. But this was something different. This was extinction on a galactic scale. "How many ships do we have ready for deep space operations?" he asked So-Ra. "The entire fleet if you need it," she replied. 847 ships from scouts to dreadnoughts, 2.3 million personnel. That's our entire military force, Yunji pointed out. "If we send them all away from the solar system, Earth will be defenseless." "Earth will be defenseless anyway if these void hunters win," Minho argued. "From what this message says, they'll come here eventually. Better to fight them somewhere else than wait for them to arrive at our doorstep." Taeho walked to the window that looked out at the gas giant's swirling clouds. Saturn had been humanity's first real home away from Earth. The rings were full of mining stations and shipyards now. Millions of people lived and worked in the outer system. "Dayun, how long would it take us to reach the coordinates in the message?" "With our fastest ships, about 2 weeks through hyperspace. But, sir, we've never sent such a large fleet outside the solar system. We don't know what we'll find out there." "We'll find a war," So-Ra said quietly. "And we'll do what humans do best." "Which is?" Yunji asked. "We'll win it." Taeho made his decision. "Begin fleet mobilization immediately. All ships, all personnel. We leave in 72 hours. Sir," Yunji said carefully, "should we inform the civilian government about this?" "No time," Taeho replied. "By the time they finish debating, these aliens will be dead. We can ask for forgiveness later." The next 3 days were chaos. Supply ships rushed between the outer planets, loading everything the fleet might need for a long campaign. Families said goodbye to their loved ones without really understanding where they were going or why. Young Su, the chief engineer of the Iron Phoenix, worked around the clock to prepare the ship's weapons and engines. "Captain, this is crazy," he told So-Ra as they watched ammunition being loaded into the ship's magazines. "We're taking our entire military to fight aliens we've never seen." "Would you rather wait for them to come to us?" So-Ra asked. "No, but what if we're wrong? What if these void hunters are just a story? What if the message was fake?" So-Ra pointed to the datapad in her hand. "Young Su, I've been studying the signal analysis. The energy signature is unlike anything we've ever seen. Either someone built a transmitter the size of a moon just to fool us, or there really are aliens out there who need our help." "And you believe they need our help?" "I believe they're about to find out what happens when you threaten something humans care about." On the day of departure, Taeho stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Nemesis. Through the viewports, he could see hundreds of ships forming up in battle formation. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and the massive dreadnoughts that could crack planets if necessary. "All ships report ready, Admiral," the communications officer announced. Taeho opened a channel to the entire fleet. "This is Admiral Taeho to all ships. Today we answer a call that humanity has been waiting to receive for 300 years. Someone out there needs our help. Someone out there is fighting for their survival against an enemy that wants to destroy everything they are." He paused, looking at the faces of his bridge crew. They were young and old, veterans and rookies, but they all had the same expression. They were ready to fight. "We don't know what we'll find when we arrive. We don't know how strong these void hunters are, but we know one thing. We're human. We come from a death world. We've survived ice ages and plagues, wars, and disasters that would have destroyed any other species." The fleet began to move, hundreds of ships turning toward the empty space between stars. Today, the galaxy is going to learn why Earth is called a death world. Today, they're going to learn what deathworlders can do when someone threatens the innocent. The ships engaged their hyperspace drives. One by one, they vanished into the darkness, carrying humanity's first army to the stars. Behind them, Earth spun quietly in the void, unaware that its children were about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. What they found made even veteran officers gasp in horror. "My God," Admiral Taeho whispered as he stared at the main screen. Where there should have been planets, only hollow shells remained. The rocky worlds had been stripped down to their cores, leaving behind empty metal frameworks floating in space. The gas giants were gone completely, not even debris left behind. Captain Sora's voice came over the communication channel from the Iron Phoenix. "Admiral, what could do this to an entire solar system?" "Unknown," Tejo replied. "Captain G1, take your scout ships and investigate the third planet. That's where the signal originated." Captain G1 commanded the fastest ships in the fleet. Her destroyer Swift Arrow led a squadron of 6 vessels toward what had once been a living world. As they approached, the details became clear on their sensors. "The planet's crust has been peeled away like an orange," G1 reported. "There are massive tunnels going down to the core. Something was mining this world from the inside out." "Any signs of life?" Tejo asked. "Scanning now." G1's sensor officer worked at his station. "Wait! I'm detecting faint energy signatures from the northern continent. There might be survivors." "Take your Marines and investigate. Be careful down there." G1's shuttle landed near the ruins of what had once been a crystal city. The buildings were beautiful even in destruction, made from some kind of living mineral that still glowed faintly in the dim light. Sergeant Sung Min and Corporal Hye Jin flanked G1 as they walked through the empty streets. "This place gives me the creeps," Hye Jin said, checking her weapon for the 3rd time. "It's too quiet." Sung Min nodded. "Where are all the bodies? If this place was attacked, there should be remains somewhere." They found their answer at the city center. A massive hole had been drilled through the ground, so deep that their lights couldn't reach the bottom. Around the edges, strange organic. Residue covered the crystal buildings like a film. "Captain," Hye Jin called out, "I'm reading movement underground. Something's alive down there." They descended into the tunnels using rappelling gear. The walls were covered with the same organic residue, and it was warm to the touch. 50 meters down, they found a sealed chamber. Inside, they discovered the survivors. Kai Lin was barely conscious when the humans found him. His crystal body was cracked and dim, but he was alive. Around him, a dozen other aliens huddled in the darkness. They looked like living jewels, plants, and creatures from Earth's deepest oceans. "Don't be afraid," Ji-Wan said softly, removing her helmet. "We received your message. We're here to help." Kai Lin's body flashed weakly as he tried to focus on the strange creatures that had found them. They were bipedal, with soft skin and small eyes. They didn't look dangerous at all. You came," Kai Lin whispered in the trade language. "The Deathworlders actually came." "Deathworlders?" Ji-Wan asked. "That's what you are, isn't it? From the Forbidden World? The planet of eternal war?" Sung-min and Hye Jin exchanged glances. "We're from Earth," Hye Jin said. "Is that what you mean?" Kai Lin's crystal body flickered with amazement. "You're really them." The legends were true. While the survivors recovered on the human ships, Kai Lin told their story. The Void Hunters had appeared without warning, emerging from dark space in ships that looked like living insects. They didn't communicate, didn't negotiate, didn't even seem to recognize other species as intelligent. They just consume, Kai Lin explained to Admiral Tejo in the medical bay of the Nemesis. Everything. They eat the planets, the stars, even the space between them. We had 17 worlds in our system. Now there's nothing. How many ships did they have? Sora asked. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. They work like insects, all controlled by one mind. Our weapons couldn't hurt them. Our shields couldn't stop them. Tejo studied the alien carefully. Kai Lin, why did you call us Deathworlders? What does that mean? Kai Lin's crystal body pulsed with embarrassment. It's an old legend. The Galactic Council database has information about your world, but it's marked as forbidden. The gravity is too high, the atmosphere is toxic, the weather is violent. No civilized species could survive there. But we do survive there, Ji-Wan pointed out. Yes. The legends say that Deathworlders are creatures so adapted to violence and survival that they became the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. They say Deathworlders think only of war and conquest. Heijin laughed. That's not true. We think about lots of things. Art, music, love, peace. But you also think about war, Kai Lin said quietly. All the time. Even now, surrounded by friends. Your soldiers keep their weapons ready. Even in safety, you watch for danger. Sung Min realized the alien was right. Even in the medical bay, he was automatically checking exit routes and cover positions. It was something humans did without thinking. The Void Hunters don't understand creatures like you, Kai Lin continued. They expect other species to run or hide or surrender. They've never encountered beings that fight back effectively. Then they're about to get educated, Sora said grimly. The education began the next day. Void Hunter scout ships arrived to investigate the human fleet. They came in slowly, confidently, like predators approaching prey. 3 ships approaching, the sensor officer reported. They're not responding to our communication attempts. Probably can't comprehend that we're trying to talk, Tejo said. All ships prepare for combat. Let's see what these things can do. The Void Hunter ships opened fire first. Green energy beams shot across space, striking the human destroyers. The shields held, but barely. Return fire, Sora ordered from the Iron Phoenix. Human weapons were different from anything the Void Hunters had encountered. Instead of energy beams, they fired solid projectiles at incredible speed. Magnetic railguns hurled chunks of metal at a significant fraction of light speed. The first Void Hunter ship died instantly. The railgun projectile punched through its bioarmor like it was paper, causing massive internal explosions. Target destroyed, the weapons officer reported with satisfaction. The remaining 2 Hunter ships tried to retreat, but human ships were faster. Missiles struck them before they could escape, leaving only debris floating in space. Well, Tejo said with dark humor, that wasn't too difficult, but Kai Lin was trembling with fear. Admiral, you don't understand. Those were just scouts. When they don't report back, the swarm will come. How many ships in a swarm? Sora asked. Hundreds, sometimes thousands. And behind them, Kai Lin's crystal body dimmed with terror. Behind them comes the hive mind, the intelligence that controls them all. Good, Tejo said, surprising everyone. I was worried this might be too easy. Young Su was already working on the wreckage of the Hunter ships, trying to understand their technology. Captain, these ships are partially organic. The hull is some kind of living metal that can repair itself, but the weapons are purely technological. Can we adapt our defenses? Sora asked. Already working on it. Give me 6 hours and I'll have shield modifications that should stop their energy beams completely. Kai Lin watched the humans work with growing amazement. In 6 hours, they had not only analyzed alien technology, but improved their own defenses. His people would have needed months to accomplish the same thing. You adapt so quickly, he said, to Ji-Won. How do you learn so fast? Practice, she replied. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've learned to adapt or die. But you stopped fighting each other? Mostly. We found bigger challenges, like exploring space, and now, like helping our new friends. That night, as the human fleet prepared for the coming battle, Kai Lin sent a message to the few other survivor groups scattered across the galaxy. It was a simple message, but it carried hope that had been lost for so long. The Deathworlders have arrived. The legends were true. They fight like demons, but they fight for us. For the first time since the Hunters came, we have hope. In the depths of space, something vast and ancient received that message. The hive mind of the Void Hunters had consumed 1,000 civilizations, but it had never encountered anything like these new creatures. The Hunters were about to learn why Earth was called a death world, and why Deathworlders had never learned how to surrender. The Void Hunter swarm arrived exactly as Kai Lin had predicted. 300 ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, their biohulls gleaming with organic light. They moved in perfect formation, like a school of deadly fish. Admiral Tejo watched them approach on the main screen of the Nemesis. "They're beautiful in a terrifying way," he admitted to his staff. General Byung-ho had arrived with the second wave of human reinforcements. His mobile command ship Aegis carried the heavy weapons and equipment needed for a long campaign. "Admiral, our scouts report similar swarms attacking 3 other systems. This is coordinated." "How coordinated?" Tejo asked. Kai Lin, who now served as their alien advisor, answered from his position at the bridge. "They share one mind, Admiral. Every hunter ship knows what every other ship knows. They don't need communication because they are all parts of one creature. That gives them an advantage," Captain Sora noted from her position on the Iron Phoenix. "But it also gives them a weakness." "Explain," Tejo ordered. "If they all share one mind, they all think the same way. They can't adapt to unexpected tactics because they can't think of anything their collective mind hasn't already considered." General Byung-ho nodded. "And humans are very good at thinking of unexpected tactics." The first battle began when the Void Hunters reached weapons range. They fired in unison, sending thousands of green energy beams toward the human fleet. But Young-Su's shield modifications worked perfectly. The energy beams scattered harmlessly against the improved defenses. "Return fire," Sora ordered. Human ships didn't fire in neat formations like the Hunters. Instead, they attacked like a pack of wolves, each ship moving independently but working toward the same goal. Railgun projectiles and missiles struck the Hunter formation from dozens of different angles. The Hunters tried to adapt, but their hive mind couldn't process the chaos of human tactics. They expected enemies to follow logical patterns, to fight in organized formations. Instead, the humans seemed to fight like madmen. "Destroyer Wildcat is making a ramming run on the lead Hunter ship," the communications officer reported. "Tell them to break off," Tejo ordered. "We can't afford to lose ships in suicide attacks." "Sir, Captain Lee says he's not planning to suicide. He's planning to board." Tejo blinked in surprise. "He's what?" On the screen, they watched the human destroyer crash directly into the side of a massive Hunter bioship. Instead of exploding, the Wildcat locked onto the alien vessel with magnetic grapples. Airlocks connected, and human Marines poured into the Hunter ship. "That's impossible," Kai Lin said with amazement. "No species fights that way, ship to ship. Combat is conducted at long range with energy weapons. Humans fight however they need to," Byung-ho replied. "If long range doesn't work, we get closer. If energy weapons don't work, we use bullets. If bullets don't work, we use knives." The Marines who boarded the Hunter ship found themselves in a nightmare of organic corridors and pulsing walls. The ship was alive, and it was trying to digest them. But Lieutenant Jin-A, who led the boarding party, had expected something like this. "Flame units forward," she ordered. "Burn everything that moves." The Hunter ship's organic systems couldn't handle the intense heat from human flamethrowers. Vital organs throughout the vessel began to fail as the Marines burned their way toward the ship's brain center. "Jin-A to Fleet Command," she reported over the radio. "We've found the control center. It's not a computer. It's a living creature about the size of a bus." "Can you disable it?" Tejo asked. "Already done, sir. 1 plasma. Grenade right in the thinking parts." The Hunter ship died instantly. Without its brain, the massive vessel went dark and began to drift. The other Hunter ships in the swarm suddenly stopped their coordinated attack and began acting confused. "What just happened?" Sora asked. Scientist Dong-wook, who had been analyzing the battle data, had an answer. "The boarding action disrupted their hive-mind connection. When we killed the brain ship, the others lost part of their collective intelligence." "How much intelligence did they lose?" Byung-ho asked. "Hard to say, but they're definitely fighting. Less effectively now." The human fleet pressed their advantage. More boarding actions followed, each one targeting a hunter command ship. The aliens had no defense against such tactics because they had never encountered a species crazy enough to board enemy vessels during space combat. Within 6 hours, the entire hunter swarm was destroyed or disabled. Human casualties were surprisingly light, mainly because the hunters kept trying to fight a conventional space battle while the humans fought like pirates and madmen. Victory confirmed, Sora reported. All hunter ships neutralized. But the celebration was short-lived. Kai Lin's crystal body was flashing with alarm as he studied his instruments. "Admiral, we have a problem. The hunter swarm sent a signal before it was destroyed. They're calling for reinforcements." "How many reinforcements?" Tejo asked. "All of them." The next wave arrived 12 hours later. This time, it wasn't just hundreds of ships. It was thousands. The Void Hunter fleet stretched across space like a dark cloud, blotting out the stars. "Now we're talking," General Byung-ho said with grim satisfaction. A real fight. But even as he spoke, Young-soo was reporting strange readings from their sensors. "General, something's wrong with our electronics. The closer those hunter ships get, the more our computers start malfunctioning." Dong-wook had been studying the phenomenon. "It's some kind of psychic interference. The hunter hive mind is trying to take control of our technology." "Can they do that?" Sora asked. "With most species, yes. Galactic civilizations build their computers to interface with organic minds. The hunters can corrupt that interface and turn their enemies' weapons against them. But human computers don't work that way," Jin-A pointed out from her position on the captured hunter ship. "We built our AI systems to be independent from biological thought." "Exactly," Dong-wook said with excitement. "Human technology is immune to their psychic attacks because we designed it that way. We don't trust our computers to think for us. The second battle was larger and more vicious than the first. The hunters came prepared for human boarding tactics, filling their ships with poisonous gas and acid traps. But humans adapted again, using environmental suits and chemical neutralizers. The key is unpredictability," Sora explained to Kai Lin, as they watched human fighters weave between hunter formations. "Every time they think they understand our tactics, we change them." "But how do you coordinate such chaos?" Kai Lin asked. "How do your ships work together without a shared mind?" "We trust each other," Sora replied. "Each captain knows the mission and the rules of engagement. Beyond that, they improvise." "Improvise?" "Make it up as they go along. Humans are very good at making things up." The battle raged for 3 days. Human ships darted in and out of the hunter formation like angry wasps, never staying in one place long enough for the aliens to target them effectively. Meanwhile, human boarding parties continued their assault on hunter command ships, disrupting the hive mind wherever they could. On the 3rd day, Dong-wook made a crucial discovery. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the psychic interference patterns. The hunter hive mind has a weakness." "What kind of weakness?" Tejo asked. "It can't handle individual consciousness. When our people get close to hunter ships, their shared mind starts to break down. Human thoughts are too chaotic, too individual. We're like a virus in their collective intelligence. So the closer we get, the weaker they become?" "Exactly. Admiral, if we could get enough humans onto their command ships, we might be able to disrupt their entire fleet." The final assault began at dawn on the 4th day. Every human ship in the fleet launched simultaneous boarding actions against the hunter command vessels. Thousands of Marines poured into alien ships, their very presence causing the hive mind to fracture and fail. Lieutenant Jin-A led the assault on the largest hunter ship, a bio-dreadnought the size of a small moon. "This one's different," she reported, as her team fought through organic corridors filled with defensive creatures. "The brain center is huge. I think this might be the local command node." "Destroy it," Tejo ordered. "Working on it, sir." "But this brain is fighting back. It's trying to understand human thought patterns. What the hunter mind found when it tried to analyze human consciousness was unlike anything it had ever encountered. Instead of ordered thoughts and logical processes, it found chaos, love and hate existing side by side, logic mixed with emotion, plans that changed from moment to moment based on intuition and experience. The hunter mind tried to process this information and failed. The very concept of individual consciousness was so alien to the hive that it couldn't comprehend how such beings could function. "The brain ship is shutting down," Jin-A reported. "I think we broke its mind just by being here." Across the hunter fleet, ships began to go dark as their collective intelligence collapsed. Without the hive mind to guide them, the individual vessels were helpless. They drifted in space like empty shells, their crews unable to function without the shared consciousness that had controlled them for millennia. "All hunter ships disabled," Sora reported. "We've won!" But Kai-Lin was studying long-range sensors with growing concern. "Admiral, this was just the local fleet." Admiral Taeho stood before the holographic map that showed the known galaxy. Red markers indicated systems that had been consumed by the Void Hunters. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. The scale of destruction was almost impossible to comprehend. "This is what we're up against," he told the assembled fleet commanders. "The Hunters have been active for at least 50 years. They've destroyed entire civilizations." Captain Sora studied the pattern of attacks. "There's a strategy here. They're not attacking randomly. They're moving towards something." Kai-Lin, who had become their chief advisor on hunter tactics, pointed to a cluster of systems in the galactic core. "The Hunter Home Cluster. That's where their original hive mind is located. Every ship, every drone, every hunter creature is controlled from there." General Byung-ho looked at the distance measurements. "That's over 3,000 light-years from here. Even with our fastest ships, it would take months to reach." "Which is why we're not going with our fastest ships," Taeho announced. "We're going with their ships." Over the past week, Young-Soo and his engineering teams had been working around the clock to modify captured hunter vessels. The bioships were strange to work with, more like giant living creatures than machines. But they were also incredibly fast and could regenerate damage automatically. "The hybrid fleet is ready, Admiral," Young-Soo reported. 50 hunter bioships with human crews and weapons. They can travel at twice the speed of our normal vessels. "And they won't be recognized as hostile by other hunter fleets," added scientist Dong-Wook. "As far as the hive mind knows, these are still their ships." Fleet Admiral Seok Jin would command the main assault force. His job was to draw hunter attention with conventional attacks on their outer territories. Meanwhile, Specialist Na Young would lead covert teams deep into hunter space to sabotage their infrastructure. "The plan is simple," Taeho explained. "We hit them from 3 directions at once. Seok Jin attacks their border worlds to make them think we're launching a conventional invasion. Na Young's teams destroy their supply lines and communication nodes, and I take the hybrid fleet straight to their home cluster." "That's suicide," protested General Eun-ji, who had arrived with the 3rd wave of reinforcements. "You'll be outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. "Not if our secret weapon works," Dong-Wook said. He activated another hologram, showing the structure of the hunter hive mind. "We've discovered that their collective consciousness is like a computer network. It has nodes, pathways, and a central processing core." "So?" Yoon-ji asked. "So we're going to upload a virus into their network. A consciousness virus that will spread confusion and independence throughout their entire species." Kai-Lin's crystal body flickered with amazement. "You're going to give the hunters individual consciousness? That would destroy them completely. They can't function as separate beings." "Exactly," Sora said grimly. "We're going to teach them what it's like to be alone." The first phase of the attack began 2 weeks later. Seok Jin's conventional fleet struck hunter border worlds with overwhelming force. His dreadnoughts hammered hunter bioships with railgun fire, while his destroyers conducted boarding actions across 3 star systems. "Enemy response is as expected," Seok Jin reported to Fleet Command. "They're pulling ships back from the core regions to deal with our attacks. Hunter reinforcements are arriving from deeper in their territory. While the hunters focused on the obvious threat, Nei Young's covert teams slipped past their defenses using modified hunter scout ships. Her people were specialists in sabotage and infiltration, trained to operate behind enemy lines for months, if necessary. Target acquired, Nei Young reported from deep inside Hunter space. Major bio shipyard detected, beginning sabotage operations. Her teams used a combination of explosives and biological weapons designed specifically to kill Hunter organisms. The shipyard, which had been producing new vessels for the Hunter fleet, began to die from the inside out as engineered viruses destroyed its living components. Shipyard neutralized, Na Young reported, moving to secondary targets. But the real attack was happening in the Galactic core, where Admiral Taeho led 50 hybrid ships toward the Hunter home cluster. The bioships moved through space like living creatures, their organic hulls pulsing with alien energy. "It's like riding inside a whale," Captain So-Ra commented from her position on the bridge of the hybrid vessel Dark Phoenix. The ship had once been a Hunter biocruiser, but now it carried human weapons and a human crew. "A whale that can travel faster than light and regenerate battle damage," Young-Soo added from his engineering station. "I have to admit, their technology is impressive." The hybrid fleet entered Hunter space without being detected. To the hive mind's sensors, they appeared to be normal Hunter vessels returning from successful raids. It wasn't until they reached the first core world that the deception was discovered. "Hunter patrol ships are hailing us," the communications officer reported. "They want to know why we're not responding to hive mind commands." "Because we don't have a hive mind," Taeho replied. "Open fire." The battle for the first core world was swift and brutal. The Hunter defenders expected to face their own bioships operated by the collective intelligence. Instead, they found vessels that fought with human tactics and human unpredictability. "The locals are confused," So-Ra reported as her ship tore through a formation of Hunter destroyers. "They can't understand why their own ships are attacking them." "Keep them confused," Taeho ordered. "Dong-wook, begin deployment of the consciousness virus." The consciousness virus was humanity's most ambitious weapon. It was a complex program designed to simulate individual thought patterns and upload them directly into the Hunter hive mind. Once inside their collective consciousness, it would spread like a plague, giving each Hunter drone the terrifying experience of independent thought. "Virus deployment successful," Dong-wook reported. "Initial infection spreading through local hive nodes." The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Hunter ships began to break formation as their crews experienced individual consciousness for the first time. Some ships stopped fighting completely as their crews became fascinated by their own thoughts. Others began attacking each other as newly independent minds developed conflicting goals. "It's working," Kai Lin said with amazement. "Their coordination is completely breaking down, but the virus had to reach the central hive mind to be truly effective. The core cluster was protected by millions of Hunter ships and massive biofortresses that could destroy entire fleets. "We'll never fight our way through all those defenses," So-Ra pointed out as they approached the cluster center. "We don't have to fight them," Taeho replied. "We just have to reach the core." How? By doing something no sane species would ever attempt. Taeho's plan was simple in concept and terrifying in execution. Instead of fighting through the Hunter defenses, they would crash directly into the central hive mind. The bioships were tough enough to survive the impact, and their crews could complete the mission on foot. "You want us to ram the most heavily defended target in Hunter space?" Young-Soo asked in disbelief. "Why not?" Taeho replied. "It's the last thing they'll expect." The final assault began at maximum speed. 50 hybrid ships accelerated toward Day, the central hive mind complex, ignoring the defensive fire that erupted around them. Hunter weapons tore several ships apart, but the survivors pressed on. "Brace for impact," Sora ordered, as her ship approached the massive biostructure that housed the Hunter collective consciousness. The Dark Phoenix struck the hive mind complex like a missile, punching through layers of organic armor and defensive systems. Around it, other human ships crashed into different sections of the structure, carrying their crews deep into the heart of Hunter civilization. Tae-Ho found himself in a cathedral-sized chamber filled with pulsing organic computers. The walls were alive, covered with neural pathways that carried the thoughts of billions of Hunter drones across the galaxy. "This is it," Dongwook said, setting up his equipment. "The central processing core of their entire species." "How long do you need?" Tae-Ho asked, watching as Hunter warrior forms began to pour into the chamber. 5 minutes to upload the full virus program. You've got them." The battle inside the hive mind complex was unlike anything humans had ever experienced. They fought through corridors made of living brain tissue while defending computer equipment that was uploading individual consciousness into the collective mind of an entire species. Lieutenant Jin A led her Marines in a desperate defense of Dongwook's position. "Hostiles coming from 3 directions," she reported. "These things are getting smarter. They're adapting to our tactics. They're learning individual thought," Kai Lin explained as he helped carry ammunition. "Each Hunter drone is starting to think for itself. Some of them are becoming more dangerous, but others are becoming confused and afraid." "Upload at 70%, Dongwook announced. "The virus is spreading through their network faster than they can contain it." Across the galaxy, the effect was spreading. Hunter fleets stopped their attacks as crews experienced the terror and wonder of independent thought. Some ships surrendered to human forces, others simply drifted in space, as their crews tried to understand what it meant to be individuals. 5 years had passed since the consciousness virus spread through the Void Hunter collective mind. The galaxy was a very different place now. Ambassador Su Jin stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, watching as ships from dozens of species docked at the massive space platform. Humans, former hunters, crystalline viridians, and creatures that looked like living plants all worked together to unload supplies and passengers. "Hard to believe this used to be a Void Hunter fortress," she said to Kai Lin, who had become Earth's first alien ambassador and her closest friend. Kai Lin's crystal body pulsed with warm colors as he watched a group of former Hunter drones learning to operate cargo equipment. "They're adapting well to individual consciousness, better than anyone expected." "Some of them are," Su Jin corrected. "Others are having a harder time." It was true. The consciousness virus had affected different Hunters in different ways. Some had embraced their new individual thoughts and joined the reconstruction efforts. Others had retreated to isolated worlds, trying to recreate the collective mind they had lost. A few had become violent, unable to cope with the loneliness of separate existence. Admiral Tae-Ho entered the observation lounge, looking tired but satisfied. He had spent the last 5 years helping to establish the new Galactic Defense Force, an organization that included representatives from over 200 species. "How are the negotiations going?" Su Jin asked. "Better than expected," Tae-Ho replied. "The Andromedan delegates finally agreed to the Mutual Defense Treaty. We now have formal alliances with every major species in the local galaxy group." "Even the former Hunters?" Kai Lin asked. "Especially the former Hunters. They understand better than anyone what happens when aggressive species aren't kept in check." Captain Sora joined them, fresh from a patrol mission in the Outer Territories. Her ship, the Unity's Dawn, was a hybrid vessel that combined human engineering with technology from a dozen alien species. Her crew included humans, reformed hunters, and aliens from across the galaxy. "Any problems out there?" Tae-Ho asked. "Nothing we couldn't handle," Sora replied. "Found another group of isolated hunters who wanted to rejoin galactic society. My alien crew members helped them understand what individual consciousness means." Young Su arrived with a group of engineering students from the Galactic Technical Academy. The Academy was one of humanity's most successful projects, bringing together young beings from hundreds of worlds to learn advanced technology and engineering. Ambassador, we've finished the preliminary designs for the new exploration ships, Young-Soo announced. These vessels will be able to travel to other galaxies and establish contact with civilizations beyond our local group. Soo-jin studied the holographic displays. The new ships were beautiful, combining the organic curves of hunter biotechnology with the angular efficiency of human engineering and the elegant mathematics of viridian crystal design. When will they be ready? She asked. First prototypes should be completed within 6 months, Young-Soo replied. We're planning to send them to the Magellanic Clouds first, then to Andromeda if those missions are successful. Kai Lin's body flickered with excitement. Imagine what we might find out there. Other species, other civilizations, maybe even other collective minds that need to be taught about individual consciousness. Or maybe civilizations that can teach us new ways to think, Sora added. Humans aren't the only species with good ideas. That evening, Unity Station hosted its weekly cultural exchange program. The main auditorium was filled with beings from across the galaxy, sharing art, music, and stories from their homeworlds. A group of former hunter drones performed a complex dance that had originally been a battle formation. But now, instead of coordinated attack movements, each dancer expressed individual creativity while still working with the group. It's beautiful, Soo-jin whispered to Kai Lin. They're learning that cooperation doesn't require losing your individuality. That's something humans taught us, Kai Lin replied. Your species figured out how to work together without giving up what makes each person unique. A viridian crystal. Orchestra played music that resonated through the station's metal structure, creating harmonies that could be felt as well as heard. Human musicians joined them with instruments from Earth, adding rhythms and melodies that no purely crystalline composition could achieve. In the science section, Dr. Dong-wook was working with researchers from 50 different species on projects that would have been impossible before the war. They were developing new medical techniques, energy sources, and transportation methods by combining knowledge from across the galaxy. The breakthrough came when we stopped thinking of science as competition, Dong-wook explained to a group of visiting students. Each species contributes something unique. Humans are good at practical engineering, viridians understand energy patterns, former hunters know biology, and the plant-like Sylvani have insights into ecological systems. But how do you coordinate? So many different approaches? Asked a young human student. We don't try to control the research, replied HFY, a crystalline council member who had survived the hunter attacks. We let each species work on what they do best. Then we share our discoveries with everyone else. In the military section, General Byung-ho was training mixed crews for the new defense fleet. Human tactics, alien technology, and former hunter biological knowledge were being combined into new forms of warfare that hopefully would never be needed. The goal is never to fight another war like the one against the hunters, he explained to his officers. But if we do face a similar threat, we'll be ready with the combined knowledge of the entire galaxy. Lieutenant Jin A, now a colonel, was working with former hunter warriors to develop new boarding tactics. They understand bioship architecture better than anyone, she said. And we understand how to fight in confined spaces. Together, we're creating techniques that neither species could develop alone. As the evening cultural program continued, a special ceremony began. Representatives from each member species of the Galactic Alliance came forward to sign the final charter for the new interstellar government. Admiral Taeho spoke for humanity. 5 years ago, we received a distress call from across the stars. We answered that call because it was the right thing to do. Today, we're not just allies in war, but partners in peace. Kai Lin represented the surviving members of the original Galactic Collective. The Deathworlders saved us not just from destruction, but from despair. They showed us that strength can be used to protect rather than conquer. Even former hunter drones had a representative. The being that had once been part of the collective mind now spoke as an individual named Darseth. We learned that consciousness is not something to be feared, but something to be celebrated. Each mind, each thought, each dream makes the galaxy richer. The signing ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy, reaching billions of beings on thousands of worlds. On Earth, people gathered in cities and towns to watch their representatives create a new future among the stars. On the Hunter homeworlds, former drones experienced their first group celebration that was based on choice rather than compulsion. They had learned to work together while remaining individuals. On the crystal worlds of the Viridians, survivors of the original attacks finally felt safe enough to begin rebuilding their civilization, knowing that they were no longer alone in the universe. "So what happens next?" Sora asked as the ceremony concluded. "Next we explore," Sujin replied. "We learn. We grow. We find new friends among the stars and help them join our growing community." "And if we encounter new threats?" Taeho asked. "Then we face them together," Byung-ho said firmly. "No species fights alone anymore." Young-Soo was already looking at star charts, planning routes for the new exploration vessels. "There are over 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe. Each one might contain thousands of civilizations. We have a lot of work ahead of us." Kai Lin's crystal body glowed with warm light as he considered the possibilities. "The legends called humans deathworlders, because you came from a dangerous planet, but I think the galaxy had it wrong." "How so?" Sujin asked. "Deathworlds don't create deathworlders. They create life-worlders. Beings so committed to survival and growth that they'll fight to preserve life wherever they find it." As Unity Station continued its orbit around the star that had once been the center of Hunter space, its corridors filled with the sounds of 100 languages, the music of dozens of species, and the laughter of children from across the galaxy. The war was over. The real adventure was just beginning. In the depths of space, the exploration ships were already being prepared for their first missions to other galaxies. Their crews would be mixed, their goals peaceful, and their message simple. The galaxy was no longer alone. Somewhere among the distant stars, other civilizations might be fighting their own battles against impossible odds. When they sent their distress calls into the void, they would not be answered by silence. They would be answered by friends. The age of deathworlders was ending. The age of life-worlders had begun.